So imagine, if you will, that the year is 1600, and the chances are that your everyday activity is dominated by collecting energy in some form. So, crops and livestock for food, or firewood for warmth. So in quite like a Malthusian way, many have argued that this agrarian economy was constrained by a limit to which the sun and the land could provide the energy requirements for the population. But then along came coal, right? And we had our technological ability to harness its high-density energy. We had industries booming and emerging, we had population and welfare massively increasing. So my PhD is looking at this relationship between energy and economic growth. And I'm looking at it through the lens of what's called useful exergy. Now, exergy is quite a difficult concept to explain in 3 minutes, but hopefully it will suffice for me to say for the time being that it's the portion of an energy flow which can be put towards physical work, and it's degraded or used up in every conversion process. This sort of toothpaste thing is quite a good example, maybe. Yeah, so it's in that regard, it's like a measure of the quality of energy flows. Now, usually research into this like energy economic growth nexus has focused upon primary energy, or that which is contained within like natural resources inputs into the economy. So in this energy chain, it would be this portion on the left-hand side here. But we actually use, we waste the majority of this energy, and it's the useful energy over on this side, which is the input into the energy services that we actually demand. And then you add to that exergy is exergy is what is actually economically productive. And so we start to get the idea that maybe we're looking at the wrong end of the energy chain for this. So my research then is trying to see whether the relationship between energy and economic growth can be better understood using this useful exergy concept. I'm using an emerging methodology. It's quite sort of nascent, which attempts to account for the useful exergy demand of a given country for a given period. Now, this is akin to sort of trying to estimate every single use of energy in a society for a given time, which, as you can imagine, is quite difficult, and there's no consistent approach to it yet. So the first part of my research seeks to bring together the previous approaches and systematically test them to maybe judge which might be the best. Then I want to construct my own useful exergy accounts for a number of countries and regions throughout the world for a period of about half a century for where we have the data, and do a range of econometric testing. So I hope that by doing this, we'll be able to see how, what effect the economic composition, types of economies and patterns of exergy demand have upon this relationship with energy and economic growth. And I think this is important because in recent sort of decades, we've started to notice that primary energy and economic growth, the levels of GDP, are beginning to decouple. They're sort of moving apart. But this might not necessarily be the case for useful exergy. And if this is true, then it has some very significant implications for continued energy reduction through like energy efficiency measures and stuff. So, thank you.
Okay.
The question is, what is useful exergy? Maybe we should talk about it at lunch.
Okay.
It's time for a question.
Any other what is useful exergy questions? How do you think that the policy people will respond to this kind of new way of looking at energy?
Well, I think the policy implications are really in terms of this decoupling kind of this sort of decoupling approach. I'm struggling to maybe find some policy within it so far, but that's it's relating to like energy efficiency measures and how the difference between the primary and the useful. Yeah.
I guess the sort of the sub question was which probably applies to a lot of people. So you're doing something which is different to a lot of other people, out of the mainstream. So how do you get that policy people to just become aware of it?
Yeah, well, that's the issue, and so the exergy accounting process is well, we've got a special session on it at SE, so maybe that's a good start.
Come along to that.
Nicely done.
Thank you.